Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda. I am a neurodivergent woman. I have autism, ADHD, a rare memory disorder called SDAM, and aphantasia, which is, for me, the inability to experience any of the senses in my mind. So today is my 20th wedding anniversary, and I'm just really excited about that. I think partially because of having aphantasia and SDAM, it's just hard for me to really mark the passage of time. So SDAM is severely deficient autobiographical memory, and that means that I don't have episodic memory. I don't remember events in my life. I do have semantic memory. I suspect my semantic memory is on par with the average person's, but sometimes I think it might be affected and it might be a little bit worse because there are definitely, so semantic memory is just your knowledge of things. So I know some things that happened in my life. Like I know I got married. I know that I lived in a 3-bedroom house when I was a kid. Like there's things I know about my past that I can't remember as specific events, like, or lived experiences. For me, there are huge gaps of like time where I just don't remember a huge thing about my life at all. And the only reason why I'm aware of that is because my sister has a really great memory, and she often will say, "Oh, do you remember blah, blah, blah?" And I'm like, no, not at all. Nope. And that just happens quite often. As for being married for 20 years, of thinking back at like different anniversaries, and I don't, I don't remember how we celebrated each anniversary. I know for the first 10 years ish of our marriage, we had a tradition to go to a specific restaurant called the Melting Pot. It's a chain, but it's a kind of fun, fancy place. And we did that for, I think, almost the first 10 years of our marriage. And then we, that was when we were living in Texas. And when we moved up here to the Portland area, we stopped going to the Melting Pot and had some different um, ways to celebrate. But again, it's like I actually like having that tradition of the melting pot, because when an event is repeated over and over and over, it is more woven into my story of how I remember it. So like I've connected our anniversary with the melting pot because of 10 years of doing it over and over. And then there's just 10 years of like, wait, how did we celebrate? I know a couple of those we went away for a weekend, and those were really fun. So I do know we did that a couple of times. But having that like tradition of doing the same thing over and over is extra special to me. Also, for my wedding, I, again, semantic memory. I know I got married. I know we got married in a Catholic church, and we had a big reception at a hotel, but I don't actually remember the wedding. I don't remember walking down the aisle. I know my grandpa walked me down the aisle, but I don't remember the act of actually doing the thing. I don't remember saying my vows. So that's the difference between episodic and semantic memory. Like I know I said vows, I don't remember doing them. Oh my goodness. And with aphantasia not being able to visualize in my mind, I do not have any visualizations of my past at all, or my future. Like I can't visualize anything, whether it's a memory or something, happening now in the future. So you would think that I would have tons of photos around my house. And for a while, because when I grew up, like down the hallways of our house, there would be family photos. Like that was just a thing you did. My grandma, she has tons of family photos on the wall, on the refrigerator, like every surface. And I know for a fact that, in my house that I grew up, there was also family photos hung on the wall. And my mom made it a point to take us to like the mall to get like portraits done each year-ish or something. And we'd have those hanging on the wall. You would think that I would do that too, but I really don't. My walls, for the most part, don't have very many photos. I do have one hallway where I have a couple of photos hung up, and it's like I did that mostly just for my kids and my husband. But for me, while I do take a lot of photos, it's really hard because when I look back at these photos, I don't have the emotional connection. I don't remember the person in the photo, whether it's myself or other people. It doesn't spark a memory of that time, of that situation. I'll look at a photo of one of my kids when they were toddlers, and I'm like, oh, that's such a cute kid. Oh my gosh, aren't they precious? But that's like a now emotion. It's not a, oh, I remember when they were that age. Oh, and they did this and this and this. So, in a way, I'm glad I have the photos because otherwise I would have no concrete way of experiencing my past at all. But in a way, looking back at old photos can be actually really sad for me. So I don't have photos up on my walls for the most part. Gosh, I didn't realize how much that actually did affect me, but just thinking about it really, like Facebook memories, I love it because it does give me kind of a glimpse of what happened that day in history on Facebook when I would post stuff. And but it's always kind of bittersweet when I look at it. And I know that's bittersweet for everybody because a lot of people look back at memories and with a fondness. But for me, it's like, okay, I did that thing, but I don't remember doing it. Like memories of taking my kids to different play dates or even my wedding. Like today, I know there's going to be a bunch of pictures of John and I from years past. I haven't looked at my Facebook memories yet today. But often I'll, take a photo of us together and put it up. And I love them, but I also don't remember those years. I don't have memories of my past. Oh boy. There was something else I really wanted to say. Oh yeah. Interestingly enough, SDAM, severely deficient autobiographical memory, a recent study. So both aphantasia and SDAM are still being studied. They're not in a diagnostic book yet. Doctors can't diagnose you with them. So anybody who has them, it's self-diagnosed. But there are researchers studying both of these. And a fairly recent article was published that about 51% of people with SDAM also have aphantasia. And I'm actually surprised that number isn't higher because, when you can't visualize your past, like when you think about an old memory and have that kind of visual pop up in your brain, I could see how that, affects your memory too. And I don't know if the researchers are finding that they just often will happen together or if there is more a direct link between aphantasia and SDAM. I also have come across, so aphantasia was first discovered through visualization. The first actual report was like late 1800s, and then nobody really did anything with it. And then more recently, I think in 2015, it was kind of rediscovered, and they've been studying it since then. The first part about it was just visualization. People were like, oh my gosh, other people can visualize and I can't. But then people started going, well, I can't also hear sounds, or I can't, smell in my brain, or the other senses were starting to pop up. And it's been very interesting because it's very much a spectrum. And there's some people like me who have global aphantasia, and I don't experience any of the senses in my mind. And then there's some people who just don't experience one or two of the senses. Like today, I met someone on TikTok who said that they can like think of a food and think of what the taste is going to taste like and think of the texture in their mouth, but they can't visualize that food. They don't have visuals. So that's really interesting. I haven't come across many people. It seems like most people with aphantasia can't visualize and then also one or more of the other senses. But apparently there are some people who don't experience some of the senses, but they still may be able to visualize. But all of this is, being researched, and we're finding out more and more about it. Same thing with SDAM. It's severely deficient autobiographical memory. So there are some people who, it's like the range of the episodic memories can be different from person to person. This is something that I've really struggled with trying to pinpoint down. Like I'm trying to pay attention, like, okay, do I remember yesterday? Do I actually remember yesterday? But see, yesterday was so close, my semantic memory kicks in, and I know I went to a meeting at my kid's school, and I know I did these things, but then can I actually remember the event? Like, do I remember the emotions and the experience of going to that meeting? And it's so hard to tell because it's so close, because I have more semantic knowledge of what actually happened. But as events space out and further apart, more knowledge of what happened, unless I paid specific attention to a detail, it's just going to fade away. And so then, it's much more obvious that I don't have the episodic memory of that event. I hope that made sense. It's it's even confusing for me. So I'm doing my best to try to explain it to other people so that we can, further the conversations. I've applied for a couple of studies. I have not been asked to join any of them. I would love to have my brain studied, honestly. I love having answers and words for my inner experience so that I can explain what's going on. Because to me, communication, I think, is such a huge deal. And I think that also stems from being autistic. I've gone through my entire life being misunderstood and not being able to explain myself very well. And so it's like I have this just deep desire to clearly kind of explain my internal sense. So I'm very excited. Today is our 20th anniversary. Just like any marriage, we've gone through big emotional highs and lows, and it's been a wonderful journey, being able to share my life with my husband, who's my rock. He's my person. He, has been there through so much, and we've done it together. Well, okay, so I think I'm just gonna keep it at that. Thank you for celebrating my anniversary with me, and until the next one, bye, guys.